Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of the HBA of Northwest Michigan Building Better podcast. I'm really excited to be here this morning talking to you this way. This is a project that's been 2 years in the making, and we're excited to get it going. My first guests are your current leaders, current President Ben Maurer.
Good morning.
And good morning, Ben. And Immediate Past-President Heidi Flake. We're going to get to know Ben and Heidi a little better today and, what really drives them to be the fearless leaders of the HBA. So Ben, not only president of the HBA board, but also Paul Maurer General Contracting, PMGC to those in the biz, has been in the business working alongside his dad since he was a kid. And Heidi, a builder at CMB Construction and also Director of Business Development at 45th Property and Power. Man, you are busy. As well as dedicating her time here at the HBA. Heidi has been in construction since 1997. You started as a roofer, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah?
On the roof.
That is crazy. You will never find me on the roof.
Still do it.
I have to.
I have seen her do
And
it.
I have too.
seen her do it. And she worked her way into estimating and project management in 2011 and has been a driving force in the HBA in a lot of different ways. Ben, you shared that your last name actually means bricklayer in German.
Yep, it does.
So is your family from Germany?
One side, the other side is Finnish. Okay. So, but my dad's grandfather's side were German immigrants.
Well, you all know Mike, my husband, Mike Tucker. He is crazy into ancestry, and so we did 23andMe a few years ago, and I'm from the same area of the world. I know that's
Yeah.
right. Well, that little fact sent me down, of course, an internet rabbit hole last night in preparation, and because I wanted to know what my last name means. Tucker, but it really doesn't have like a lot of meaning to it. Probably just easy to say, but I did stumble across this website that actually ranks how common your name is. So Ben Maurer is the 5,571st most common last name in the world, which means you share your last name with 101,523 people.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Seems like a lot.
Guess what? The majority of them are actually found in Germany.
Huh.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. There actually are some other Mauers in the area too that I didn't know. But
yeah. And Heidi, you actually have a more rare last name. Your last name is the 75,732nd most common in the world too. This isn't just the United States. Meaning you share your last name with 6,478 people.
That's pretty believable. Yes. I didn't come from this last name. I got this last name by marriage, but
I did not come from my last name either, but I'm happy to have it because it's much easier to spell, and it is more common. Tucker is the 1,762nd most common last name. 311,116 people bear this name. So you're all very welcome for this useless fact of information. But, this is what makes Lauren tick. Well, again, we're here today to just talk about a brief history of the HBA. We are one leg in a three-legged stool, meaning that we are part of a national association, a state association, and then, of course, the local association. And you can't become a member of either the state or national without coming through a local HBA. So we really are like the most important part of that three-legged stool, of course. NEHB has been building homes, enriching communities, and changing lives since the early 1940s. It's pretty hard to believe.
It's a long time.
Yeah, it is. Did you know that approximately 80% of the new homes built in the United States, both single-family and multifamily, are constructed by NEHB's members?
I read that, and that's pretty amazing.
Isn't it cool to think about that on the global scale? Like, we get so caught up in our day-to-day and what's going on in our lives. But when you pull back a little bit and see like what it really means to be an HBA member, it's pretty cool. A federation of more than 700 state and local associations represents more than 140,000 members, of which we are about 430, over 430 of those members.
I should know this, but is the federation through all 50 states?
I believe it is. Yeah, because there is definitely an HBA of Alaska and an HBA of Hawaii, and we don't see them terribly often, but actually our local participates in a HBAs helping other HBAs group, and the EO from Hawaii takes part in that. They've actually been really instrumental in showing us how we can leverage grant funding to help us enhance the educational
in the
opportunities.
local community.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big community that we're a part of.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a great question. The state association, not started in the 1940s, but not soon after, 75 years at their 75 years at their summer convention. For the members out there that may not be familiar, the summer convention happens once a year, and we hosted it here in Traverse City 2 years ago. And actually, you were so gracious as to let a bunch of strangers onto a rather large live job site.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That was incredible.
That
If you
happened.
knew then what you know now. That was awesome.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
It was,
Beautiful home.
how many square feet was that?
15 conditioned.
Yeah.
So it's large. Yeah.
That's big. And it was completely in the framing stage. Like wiring was just going in. It was really neat to see that.
It was pretty cool for me too. I mean, it was safe in that we were walking around with people who were familiar and knew the seriousness of it and the dangers and stuff, but they were also appreciative. But it was pretty cool for me just to walk through with peers from all over the state and show them what we're doing. I mean, that really uplifted me personally. So
Well,
thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, and thank you for doing it, because not many builders are willing to jump in and let people on a live job site.
And people are still talking about that visit.
Cool. Nice.
Several ratings.
I think I pushed it out of my memory.
I don't blame you.
surprised when Lauren brought it up. You're like, what did I do?
I kind of do too, because that was a bit of a logistical nightmare, but it was worth it. The summer convention is attended not only by peers from across the state, which is a unique opportunity to share ideas. I mean, we are an association of competitors. I think that's one of the things that makes the HBA really special, because we all take our competitor hats off and work towards that common good. And it's something really special to see. But sometimes it's easier to share and build those networking relationships outside the area where there isn't as much like concern about
downward pressure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is also really well attended recently by the National Association leadership. And this past summer, we had the pleasure of hosting, actually both years, hosting the NAHB chairman, which is the same role as you hold at the national level, and get to know them on a one-on-one basis. I think you even exchanged cell phone numbers.
We had some
current
text threads
president.
going on during presentations. Things straight.
And that's our current president of the NAHB board or chairman is Carl Harris. He will pass that gavel in to Buddy Collins, I believe. I have to fact check that. We may have to do a correction in February at National IBS. But that's been a really good opportunity for us to not only brag about the cool stuff that we do here locally, but to really learn a lot, have that direct line from national, and it's helped us support the efforts that we're doing locally. Next year, August 2025, it's going to be closer again at Boyne Mountain Resort. And then in August 26th, we'll be back in Traverse City at the Park Place Hotel. So maybe we can arrange another building site tour. Who knows?
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to build a house.
I think we know some people that might be building houses. So our local was formed in 1970. We're celebrating 55 years this year, which is kind of exciting, one of those milestones. Originally 5 counties, Grand Traverse, Antrim, Kalkaska, Leelanau, and Benzie. And in 2003, we added Manistee, Missaukee, and Wexford. And we have grown by nearly 100 members this year, making us, I'm sure, the 3rd largest association in the state. Again, with more than 430 members and growing. This year, the board made a big decision to offer a financial break for young professionals in the field. And I think that that is something that's really special and holds a lot of value, not only to those young professionals, but to the association and to our current
supports the whole
membership.
industry. I mean, it supports us all to have young, new people with new ideas, with fresh energy to come into the market. I mean, if we can bring them into our community, I mean, that's helpful for all of us.
Yeah.
Help drive down that national average age of a builder,
Yeah.
which is
A huge.
57.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in the state of Michigan, between the ages of 18 and 24 licensed builders, there's only 424. And when we look at that number of 50 plus, it's well over 12,000, 14,000 builders. So it's no surprise that our industry remains in a labor crisis. We feel it every day.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these newly licensed builders are just building their companies, can partner with more seasoned, more experienced builders and you gain some experience. And then maybe even when you guys are passing over a job for any reason, you might pass that along. So I'm excited about this program. It's really designed to engage these new members and create that lifelong membership. It's got a sliding scale of 5 years that they're in that program and get to engage with us and really share the magic behind the HBA. And I know that you definitely have had a chance to interact with a couple of those new YP builders. Any thoughts on that?
It's just been, it's nice to talk to them. They are, like Ben said, they're kind of like a breath of fresh air, and they are
Maybe a little green.
a little, yeah, that comes up every once in a while, and it's nice to catch them. It's things we think about every day because this is what we do, and it hasn't quite set in for some of these newer folks getting into the industry. And some of it's as simple as just remembering to prioritize your own time, and it takes a lot of work to start a company.
Oh man, that is hard as a business owner.
Yes, especially as a young one in this industry, because there's enough work to go work 24 hours a day. And so it's just remembering that you need to tune it back a little bit and make sure that you're taking care of yourself.
Favorite things about when we have committee meetings or board meetings or even general membership meetings is just kind of standing to the side and listening to the tales from the field that come up, and just some of the shenanigans that can pop up, or bonehead moves or mistakes, or really great things too. But it's always like, oh man, I've been there, or oh, thanks for sharing, I didn't know that, and I want to avoid that ever happening to me. And I think that there's a lot of fun involved in that. I get a kick out of it, but I think there's, again, a lot of value. So now we've got like that brief overview of the history. We've been around for a long time. We've been in this community for 55 years. Another new, not necessarily new, but improvement on what has always been a cornerstone of the HBA is working in that residential building code space, legislative action that really affects our industry. And I'm really excited that we were chosen to participate in this local grassroots advocacy pilot program. I'm sure if anyone's tired of hearing that word, don't be. It's pretty darn cool. And we're excited that next month in February at the home show, that group is actually going to be manning our HBA booth. And I know Ben Zeitz from your company participates in that program, and Heidi, you've participated. It's just going to elevate what we do here locally right now I'm more reactive than proactive when I hear about issues, and I can involve myself and help take that burden off of you guys. I don't have to work with the code office or the townships on a daily basis. So sometimes it's easier for me to go in and ask the questions and get to the bottom of what's going on. But this is more of a proactive approach where we're partnering. We have Maxwell Cameron, who is the new community development director at Grand Traverse County. I think we can still say new. He's been there. I think he joined in September. We got him like right away. And it's great to have that connection because sometimes there's a breakdown in the administration to the end user. So we've been really able to engage with them on their excellent program, Epic GT, which even though when it goes down, it's terrible, but that's been a really good development. And as we can get more municipalities working on there, it just creates more communication in real time.
Well, I mean, that kind of touches on something that we were talking about off air this morning, was just this area is growing. And, who better to help create some parameters around that than people who care, for one, who have been community members for a long time, but also that live in the industry, know costs, know the difficulties of things, know what's practical.
Know where you could make the process a little more effective.
Yeah, that who better to be, at least have a voice. And so that's, a big power of 55 years and 80 years of history, is that there's a lot of voice that should be considered there, for legislators or local people. I mean, these local people, are administrators. I mean, they're locals just like us.
Yeah.
They go to the
and their job
restaurants and
is
drive
to
on
know
a crummy road.
everything, right? They're not just worried about housing or housing policy. It's just one small piece.
Yeah.
So it's cool that they invite us to participate as experts. Crazy to have the people that build the homes and enrich the communities that ultimately change lives at the table to help shape that. So that's just another cool thing that I just want to make sure we talk a lot about. There is opportunity to get involved in that too, which sometimes I'll hear from the members, like, what are we doing about XYZ, like 1099 contractors versus W-2 employees? And where does the HBA stand on issues like that? And this is that opportunity for us to carry through the voices of our members and set our legislative agenda.
And I know this year, I've been a member for a long time. I need to be more present, but I know that we've been trying to do more polling too, of you, the members, to see what your voice is, so that we know, because like you said, we've got 430 members and growing. We're the third largest in the state. We want to know what your perspective is so that we can stand behind it. And ultimately, we want to improve the HBA and the community here. I mean, the level that we're doing, the cost that everything's happening at. So, we want to hear from you guys. So I think
That's
polling
a really
is
good
a good
point.
thing to pay attention to in your emails. I know that I, for one, probably have 40 when I get back to the office of junk, but there might be one in there that you need to pay attention to. So
so those surveys from the HBA, that's a good point. That's how we shape the work that we do in the year. And we want to hear from you. I got an email after sending out dues recently that was like, here's my unsolicited thoughts. Thanks for reading them. And my response was, keep the unsolicited thoughts coming, because I think that that's where the most important information is shared. And we are here for you. The HBA is here for you. Your leadership is here for you. And that's something that, thanks for reminding us. So I do have a couple of questions for you guys. Heidi, what is your favorite thing about the HBA?
Well, probably the camaraderie, and that has really ramped up since COVID and the shutdown and all of the hurdles that we all faced. And when we could come together and say, just FYI, this is what I found with such and such product, like it's 18 months out, whatever. But everybody was going through that same struggle during COVID. And it was really nice to have like-minded people that were in the same boat and sharing their wisdom, and you could share yours. And because really it was a on the fly figure out how to deal with this. I love just thinking back to, my book that I had to have on the job site where everybody had to check in and check out and do their test and all that. And it seems like a distant memory, but it wasn't that long ago. And so
It really wasn't.
it's just, it really brought, I think, a lot of members together and tightened some bonds for sure. But that's probably one of my favorite parts of it. It's definitely, there's a lot to what we do. And sometimes it's
It can
nice
be
just to
lonely.
be able to, have other people that understand what we're all going through. And also, it's a great source for working with members. And you're going to see them every month at a general membership meeting, and so there's a good amount of accountability there. So.
Yeah, and there's a good chance if you're working with an HBA member that they're going to stand behind their work, that they've got all their ducks in a row. What I heard you say is the HBA is where builders build each other up.
Yes. Yep. That would be it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ben, how about you? That you have been a member for a long time. You may have had some exposure to the HBA or maybe the events when your dad served
community, I would say.
as president.
Yeah.
As you are a second generation president.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. What's your favorite thing about the HBA?
I thought about what it stands for. I mean, and just, from a national standpoint too, 85 years, state 75 years, and then just local 55 years. I mean, you're right. I was a part of some of those, events back in the day with my dad. And I met a lot of people, looked up to a lot of people, laughed, have funny visions of these people that were here for the last 55 years. So there's a lot that goes into that. A lot of good people, a lot of jobs. I'm sure a lot of tears, a lot of blood, a lot of money. In those 55 years. So I think that's what I like, or what my favorite thing about it is what it stands for. It stands for a lot of people in our history, a lot of members, a lot of work that's hopefully still standing too.
Yeah.
So.
That is the cool thing about residential construction. And as someone who lives with a builder turned supplier, you can't ride around in a car without hearing about either like commentary on the jobs that are going on, like, oh man, that should be going faster. Oh, look, they're building an apartment
that
building.
wall very good.
Why would they use that color to, like, I worked on that roof. I redid that porch. I actually remember when Josh got stung by all those bees at that job site. Like that is the
Stories are never ending.
Yeah.
yeah.
My poor children.
And it gets annoying. Like it doesn't though. Like I love it, and it is something that my kids tease their dad about endlessly. But what's cool about that is what you said. Like in this industry, you are building things that last and
Should last.
I mean, there's always mistakes and products will fail, and that happens. That's just the rule of numbers. But that's something that sometimes gets lost. Like builders build buildings that people live in, and that stand the test of time. So that's awesome. Heidi, what drives you to participate in the HBA?
Well, I've said this a few times in a few different capacities. That's really changed for me over the years. So when I first started my membership with the HBA, it was more of a networking, marketing, which it still is to an extent. But when you've been around for as long as I have, it shifts. And so our initiatives with workforce development and advocacy and the legislative have really become really near and dear to my heart. They affect me on the daily. So I am constantly trying to help do anything I can to to change the trajectory that we're on with our lack of workforce.
You're very good at it.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Well, and I'll say, having had the privilege of working very closely with you, I've only been in this role a little over 2 years, 2.5 years, coming into 3. You are so great at reaching to the generation behind and the generation forward to pull ideas through and make sure people are included and their voices are heard. And that really shines through. And I'm going to also direct the same question to you, Ben. And before I do, I want to say that we tease a lot on the board level, especially on the executive committee, about being voluntold. But really, you're voluntold because you have been identified as a natural leader among your peers, someone with integrity and really just strong morals, that you've been recognized as a leader. But you do have to be a builder, licensed builder, to be the president of the HBA. So that is a smaller group of people that we pull from. So we do tease about the voluntoldness, and it is a big job. So I don't want to discount that, because I'm so thankful to get to work with you both, and the time that you dedicate for the members. But Ben, what drives you to participate in the HBA?
In short, it's just giving back. I mean, and all of those things that you just kind of mentioned about, what it is. I mean, Heidi, you exude all of that. I just have the utmost respect for who you are and what you've done and what you continue to do, your energy. I mean, you're selfless. So it's pretty cool. So thank you for what you've done and for leading me and showing me what it means, because it's to give back. And so that's big for me. What drives me to participate is to give back. Looking back in the 55-year history, almost 40. Well, I guess at the time this comes out, I'll be 40. So,
Welcome to the club.
So 40s. But I've been around it for a long time, like I said, and have a lot of fond memories with, and peers now too. So, some of those people that I fondly remember events with, I now work with. So I just want to give back to a lot of those people that have given me so very much in my life. So
yeah, that's awesome. And we appreciate it on behalf of myself, especially, and our members and the staff. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for being willing to show up. Thank you for being willing to jump on the first episode of the podcast with me. There's a lot that comes along with that presidency that can push people out of their comfort zone. And I just admire you both and the leaders in the past and the leaders to come for being willing to add that, because this is not a compensated position, and it is added above and beyond what your responsibilities are to your work and to your families. So I don't want that to get lost at all. A big heartfelt thank you. The last thing I'm going to say is, what do you wish people knew about the HBA, or what are you most excited about in this coming year?
Both. I think that members, I would say it's a little bit different, obviously, than our community. And I think that there's something for both. Members, I never fully grasped what they meant when they said you get what you put into the HBA and your membership. And that is so important, because any member that starts to dip their toes into things, which is exactly how we would like it to go. Yeah. Well, it's a good way, because a lot of people are like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Not even realizing that I'm not an employee.
Yeah.
But this is what we're doing. And I invite them and they walk in and they are just floored, and there's so much to take in. So dipping your toe in and getting involved is really the best way to get the most out of your membership.
I didn't even pay her to say that.
I know. Coffee. It was coffee. And then on the flip side of that, something that I've been saying since I've kind of come into leadership roles is that we could do a better job, and this podcast is a giant step one towards helping our community understand what we are here for. So that's twofold. It benefits our members because if you're a member, then they're going to reference you somehow if they're in need, but also help you understand just some of the hurdles and the adversities that we have in this area sometimes with growth. And so
housing has been such a hot button.
Yeah.
It was talked about more in this past election cycle than ever, which is great. That's NAHB and the state association really working on our behalf. But it's hard to talk about a housing crisis and then be a builder and know all of these things that contribute, because this is your daily life to why we have those problems. Whereas the general public only is seeing that very top surface of what they're being told. So I'm excited about having this opportunity in this vehicle to share with the public and our membership all of the things about residential construction. And thanks for helping me make it happen. Ben, what do you wish people knew?
Well, kind of piggybacking, I think, off of that is the owners.
Mm-hmm.
That I want the owners to know more about us, to know what we stand for, our history, because like you said, I mean, there's a myriad of resources, in our directory. I mean, man, the names and phone numbers and years of work that those guys have performed, that if you have questions on how to do stuff, that's the place where owners should look.
Yeah.
I mean, if they want reputable stuff and don't want to get taken advantage of, and keep money in the local community too.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. So I'd really like the general public, the owners, to know more about the HBA and reach out to it more as a resource, just like we utilize it as a resource internally, that more and more people understand that. What I'm most excited for this year, I think selfishly, I'm excited to learn. I know I've learned a lot.
Yeah, you've had a
and
crash
I was
course.
going to say shitload, but I wasn't sure if I should.
It's
maybe
fine.
edit that
It's a
out.
shitload at
This is
minimum.
con- construction.
Just in the last couple of years, and I'm really, really excited to be, as you said, I mean, pushed out of my comfort zone and to go to some, state meetings and talk and listen with people that I wouldn't otherwise have an opportunity to. And that's, I mean, the power of the HBA is talking to people and being in the same room with people that maybe you wouldn't normally be in. And so I'm just really excited to be a part of all of that, and with the locals too. I mean, I'm going to meet with and talk with a lot more local people than I normally would. So I'm really excited to just be out there in the community too.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to take a little trip with you both in February. Due to our growth last year, we did win top prize in the National Association's membership drive last spring. We achieved growth of, I think, 11.45%. Yes, I do know the exact number. Pretty proud. And that afforded us 2 free admissions to International Building Show and the Educational Pass, which has a value of about $250, $300 just for the Educational Pass alone. And
Which is
travel.
invaluable.
It really is.
You could spend $2,500 on the education that you get by being a part of that. So
Yeah, thousands of square feet of actual show floor, but I think the most valuable thing that comes out of the IBS, the International Builder Show, is hilarious. I know anyone outside of the industry, you say I'm going to IBS, is going to have a lot of questions for you. But there's the opportunity to attend educational courses of anything you could possibly think of. And then also in the caucuses, where we sit with our region, Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan, and talk about things that are facing us specifically. But really excited to have you both there. We'll have a lot of fun. It'll be an exhausting week. Bring your walking shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're
flip-flops.
and you can ask
and a
Heidi
recording.
about walking shoes and how important it
it's
is.
very important.
Fashion should be thrown out the window.
Number 1, walking shoes.
We'll have to do a follow-up episode where we talk about our experience at IBS.
That'd be cool.
Hopefully we all come back in one piece with pockets full of money. I really want to thank you both again for going on this journey with me this morning, for sharing your stories with our members. I think getting to know you is a big deal. And I look forward to more episodes of the Building Better podcast, where we're going to cover different issues that face our industry, speak to homeowners, speak to our fellow members, and just really share the magic of the HBA. So tune in next time.
Thanks.
Thank you.